Hello, and welcome back to the God the Artist podcast. I'm your host, Morgan McCarver, and today we have Danielle Bernock joining us. She is a writer of several different books, and she has also written a book with her grandson. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today.
Delighted to be here.
So, how did you find out that you were an author?
I didn't really find out per se. I did a lot of personal inner healing
Hmm.
with a lot of childhood trauma and a long, messy journey through that. And I had thought about writing a book a number of years earlier, and I'm like, I don't know how to write a book. So I talked to my husband, maybe you can write the book, and I give you stuff. And then it got put away for a while. But then I did more healing, and we moved out of state for 5 years, and that transformed my life, that
Hmm.
experience. So after we moved back to Michigan from Arizona, I felt compelled to share my healing journey with people to encourage them. And it was a very specific day during my quiet time. I was praying, and there was a devotional that I was doing. And the title of that devotional was Dare to Decide.
Hmm.
And I felt Lord telling me, today's the day you start to write your book. So I'm like,
Wow.
okay. I don't know how to do that, but okay. So
Yeah.
I started gathering information. How do I do this? How do I go about doing this? How do you write a book? Where do you go with this? And I was so ignorant of all the process of that. I knew of traditional publishing houses, and I did research about that and literary agents and all that jazz. But at that time, and I'm not sure if it's the same now, but at that time, if I would have gotten a traditional publisher to publish my book, they would purchase my story, and it would mean that they could change my story. And
Hmm.
I was against that 100%. I'm like, I have lived hard to get this story. No one's changing my story. And so I
Hmm.
looked into self publishing and other things they call vanity publishing and things like that. What are my options out there? So I did a lot of studying to what can I do. And when I published that first book, I used a website called Create Space, which does not exist anymore.
Oh.
It KDP bought them. And so I've gone through KDP since. I created my own imprint, so I have my own company that I publish my books through, and I got mentors along the way to help me through the process of all the things, because I didn't want to slap some piece of crap out there. I wanted it to be excellent. I wanted it to help people and touch their hearts. And so my first book is all my books are bathed in prayer. I pray a lot about them, and I want the Lord to speak to people through them. And I reach for people who are struggling, people who are not, I got it all together kind of things.
Hmm.
I'm struggling with this. I'm a trauma survivor, and I've healed from my trauma, a big, humongous pile. And so other books I've done for various specific reasons. I have six of them, five of them, five I've written, and I'm releasing my sixth one this year.
Oh, exciting. So, 5 books. That is incredible for someone who, like you said, you didn't know a lot about the process before you started. How was it writing down your trauma and kind of working through that as you were going?
Well, I put myself into counseling to write the book because I thought
Hmm.
that would be smart, and it was a lot smarter than I thought because my counselor uncovered trauma that I didn't know was trauma in my life. And
Hmm.
she helped me work through that. So the book is not written from the wounds. A book should be written from the scars, not the wounds, because you shouldn't bleed on people and then they're traumatized by your story. That should not
Hmm.
happen. And I have read some books that I wish I could unread, and I can't unread them. So I did not want my book to be like that. I wanted my book to encourage people. It's written like a love story. There's a hero, a villain, and a person overcoming, and it emerges happy at the end. And I just sat down and started writing. There's a quote by a Nigerian poet that really helped me to do that. I can't remember the entire thing. It's kind of long, but it's start with your knees shaking and without certainty, and you have to just start. But in the quote, she validates all the fear and anxiety and things that want to hold you back, and just that you need to just start. And so that day, it was a September 29th that year, I started. And I started gathering, started writing, rewrote. We didn't have AI back then like people want to use now, and I don't use AI to write my books. I write my books, not AI. But I just wrote
Good for
them
you.
over and over and over again. It would add things. I had a whole file of what am I going to title this book? Or I liked this. And then you go through that file, and that's kind of like a little journey through the writing of the book. I'm going to name it this. No, I'm going to name it this. No, I'm going to. And it wasn't until I got to the end of the book of writing it that I came up with the title, Emerging with Wings, a true story of lies, pain, and the love that heals. And
Oh,
emerging
wow.
with wings is the wings represent freedom. Like I have this necklace, and that's why I have this necklace, because it represents the freedom of the wings of flying out of what was holding you down. And in the book, I did research about how caterpillars turn into butterflies. We know they spin a cocoon and then they come out. But I go into it in much more depth of what happens scientifically in that metamorphosis, that they go through that process. A caterpillar completely digests itself. It
Oh,
completely
wow.
turns into a soup inside of there, and there are things in there called imaginal discs. And those things they were part of the caterpillar, but they carry into the butterfly as they recreate the butterfly inside. So the caterpillar always has a part of the butterfly with them while they're a caterpillar.
Oh,
But when the
wow.
butterfly emerges, it still has pieces of the caterpillar that it takes with it. And it's such a beautiful illustration of our transformation when we give our lives to Jesus. And I came like an ugly caterpillar, and I turned into a butterfly. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I am not what I was. I am not what I was. And through learning that process with the butterfly, I also then applied that to my childhood. I used that terminology that I digested my childhood instead of people use the term now deconstructing. But I digested my childhood, and then what do I keep? What do I not keep? And making sense of all of that. And that was part of my process in the book to help other people do that, to hold fast, to look for the good, process the difficult, but then you create something new and you can emerge something beautiful, but it's just the beginning of a new journey of grace.
I love that analogy with the butterfly. I think that's a great example. And often I just think about, oh, it's a caterpillar, and then it's a cocoon, and then it's a butterfly, and I don't really think about everything that's happening to the caterpillar.
Mm-hmm.
But wow, really like digesting itself and becoming the simplest form and then recreating, that is really powerful. How did God work in that story while you were writing that first book?
He was helping me give images to it, because really I went through that whole caterpillar type experience when we had moved to Arizona. I was born and raised in Michigan, and we moved to Arizona before the housing crunch. My husband, he got laid off, couldn't find a job, and then he found one in Arizona. We prayed about it, talked about it, slept on it, and decided that was what the Lord wanted us to do. And so we did it. It was terrifying. It was not easy. We didn't know a soul. We'd never been to Arizona, had no idea where do you live. What's a good area? What's a bad area? Is there a bad area? I don't even know. I don't want to say anything bad about the place. I've never been there,
Right.
but that ignorance. And then I moved away from my family, and I had started having panic attacks, and I was on Xanax for a while. I was going to a chiropractor who was helping me because my body was somatizing the grief of leaving the dream I had of living by my family, and here I'm moving, thousand miles away. But
Mm.
it was the best thing for me, because I
Mm.
had to digest who I was. I had to go through and digest who am I And who do I choose to be? And who have I become because of the coercion of others? Who have I become because of the trauma in my life? Who is the real me and who is the fake me that, or the survival me, or whatever, however you want to label it. But it was all different aspects of me that had to fall off during that 5-year period. And so when I came back to Michigan after 5 years, my husband got a job and we got to move back. I was a completely different person. And
Mm.
so sharing my story was exciting to me, and it was easy when you're writing it on paper and nobody's reading it. It's real
Right,
easy.
right.
It's like your journal. It's simple. But then I had a couple people read it who were really good at grammar and stuff. And I had a friend who was a graphic designer, and I had people around me to help me with the process. But then came the time, like, if I don't publish it, it's not a book.
Mm.
It's not a book if it's not published. And so you have to publish it. And so the night that I released it to make it available for people to buy was the most terrifying moment of my life, because I wanted to help people and I wanted to share that, but I had learned things and processed things that people in my life, they didn't know anything about.
Mm.
And so I felt like I was stripping off my clothes and running around the world naked. And it
Right.
was terrifying. And my greatest fear was that someone would actually read it, which sounds really funny unless you've been an author and then you get it.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like you probably would feel that way when you create pottery. The very first pottery thing you did, was it terrifying to share it with someone? What are they going to think about that?
Right. Yeah, of course.
But then people read the book and I started getting texts and calls and emails about, oh, I'm not the only one. I'm not alone. And just all this validation, and it was helping people. And a quote, and it went viral. I mean, I find it on people's websites. It's in people's books. It's translated into other languages. It's in people's
Wow.
PowerPoints for organizations. And I was just astounded by that, especially
Wow.
because that was my epiphany. My epiphany
Mm.
that gave me the courage and the strength to validate what I had invalidated for so long. Because
Mm.
one of the things that trauma survivors tend to do is compare what they've been through with something much worse.
Mm.
And it's like, oh, well, it's not as bad as so and so. And sometimes people are raised that way. Well, it's not as bad as so and so. So then you do it to yourself. And
Right.
that's, trauma is personal. And so is
Mm.
grief. Grief is personal too. Those are two very personal things. The two people will not feel them the same. They will not go through them the same. And we need to validate the truth of their experience, because their inner landscape is their inner landscape and does not match anyone else's.
Mm. Wow. That's powerful stuff. How about those friends and family members you said knew you this whole time, didn't realize what you were going through? How did they respond once they had read those words you wrote?
Some people were surprised. They're like,
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought you were just fine. I
Mm.
was really good at pretending.
Yeah.
Because that's what trauma survivors tend to do, because people can have trauma and not even know it.
Right. Wow. That's incredible. And that you're able to help other people through your story. I think that's one of the more beautiful parts that is glorifying to God. And you mentioned that quote that went viral. Do you happen to have that in front of you, or do you have it memorized?
I have it in front of me because I sometimes trip when I'm in interviews because I get too excited about it. It is. Trauma is personal. It does not disappear if it is not validated. When it is ignored or invalidated, the silent screams continue, internally heard only by the one held captive. When someone enters the pain and hears the screams, healing can begin.
Hmm. Wow. Very well written and completely understandable. That completely, if you've been through trauma, you understand and you know exactly what you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about in that quote.
Yeah.
Wow. So moving forward, you've written, I guess, 4 other books since this first one. Do they
Mm-hmm.
all involve your trauma experience, or what
No,
are they about?
no. The second one is a PDF, and I also have it available in audio that I give away free at my website.
Oh,
I was
wow.
inspired to write that by my writing mentor because after I published my book and I found out people wanted it, I'm like, well, I did no marketing on the front end of this.
Mm.
But I came across an article that said that every book needs a blog, but I didn't know what a blog was. And so I started doing research. I've done a lot and lot of research. And I came across a young man at the time. His name's Jeff Goins, and he became my writing mentor. And he had a group called Tribe Writers. And I joined the
Mm.
Tribe Writers, and he had courses for us to take of how to write, and one was called Intentional Blog, how to set up a blog, how to do all the things. So he was my first mentor, and one of the things that he said is, if you're going to have a blog and if you're going to have a business, if you're going to be doing this, you need to have a manifesto. You need to have, what are you doing?
Mm.
What is the core of what you're doing? And so that's when I wrote Love's Manifesto. It's the core of what I do. Love is the core of all that I do. So Love's Manifesto is what is love, why we don't believe it, and what it takes to convince us.
Mm.
And that's
Wow.
free at my website, either in PDF or in audio.
I love that. Did you record the audio yourself?
Yes.
Awesome. Wow. You are just a Renaissance woman. You can do it all.
Well, because I wanted to own my story. I didn't want someone else to own it. I didn't want anyone to change it. And the next book I wrote after that is a short story. It's available on Kindle and on Audible. And I say it's short story over and over again because I have a review that the person complained it was short, but it's a short story. So, but it's called A Bird
Oh.
Named Pain, Payn, because it's an allegory. It's an
Mm.
allegory of how to process complex emotions when you have a loved one with Alzheimer's. I lost my
Mm.
mother-in-law to Alzheimer's, and walking that journey was excruciating. I
Mm.
didn't know how to walk through it. And this book was a gift that God gave me after one of my visits to her when she was in the assisted living memory care. And she would act out of character, which is very disturbing. She's a very sweet, kind, wonderful woman, and she would turn into something else. And it really freaked me out really bad.
Mm.
I'm like, God, how do I deal with this? And after one time that I had lunch with her, I got this picture of a bird named Payn. And when I got home, I sat down at my computer and wrote the whole thing out with just a little bit of editing. It was just a gift that God gave
Mm.
me of how to walk through that, validate the complexity of those emotions, but then also how to simplify them to make them manageable.
Mm. Without giving the book away, what would be some steps that you would advise for someone who's going through a similar journey like that?
You can email me and I'll give you the book for free.
Oh, wow. There you go.
I
Wow.
mean, it's a short story. I didn't write it to make money. I would do that. I've given it to many people. I have a friend on LinkedIn. She lost her mother to Alzheimer's, and I sent it to
Mm.
her. I find people have it. I will just give it to you. So you can let
Wow.
me know if you want it. I can't give the Kindle away, but I can give the audio away, and I can give the PDF away. So, but
Yeah.
then the story
Wow.
is
That's
also
amazing.
in my book, Because You Matter. So if you get Because You Matter, it's written in there. It's in the chapter on owning your pain. Because
Mm.
You Matter is, I wrote it as a self-help book for how to take ownership of your life after I learned the difference between ownership and responsibility.
Mm.
Because I didn't know there was a difference. To me, they were the same.
Right.
But I had a writer friend from that group, the Tribe Writer. She wrote an article about it, and I was just astounded by that. I'm like, wow, I never thought of that. Ownership. It gives you more power to do things. You can give someone responsibility, but
Mhm.
ownership is something you have to take yourself. And responsibility can be coercive. You can push something on someone and it can be oppressive. Whereas ownership is not like that. Ownership is something that you take on yourself. I love to draw the picture of it with, you have a teenage son or daughter, and they want the most expensive sneakers out there, and so you buy them for them, and then you find them in the driveway. And you're like, why'd you leave those in the drive? Oh, I'm so sorry, Mom. And you get the whole excuse thing. But then if you say, I I think you would be better if you would earn the money yourself and you would buy them yourself. And so they take side jobs and they get money and they pay for those $200 shoes. You will never find those shoes in the driveway because they paid for them themselves and they understand the value of ownership. That's the power of ownership versus responsibility. And that's the core message of this book, is about owning your life, owning your courage, owning your value, owning your choices, owning your pain, owning all the different aspects of your life when life has tried to take all these things away from you. But I didn't want to just have my story. I already wrote my first book. I didn't want to just repeat that. So I interviewed 10 people, and I have 10 different stories, one between each one of the chapters, where how they took ownership of their life, what they went through, and how they reclaimed their life and took ownership. I have 5 men and 5 women, older, younger, black, white. Not all of them are believers. I mean, I wanted to have it so that it's shared with the wide variety of people.
Hmm. Was there an underlying current that was similar across the board with all of these interviews?
They all took ownership, is how
Hmm.
they overcame. I mean, one lady, she lost everything in a house fire.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
her kids, and a flash drive that she went back in to get, which was foolish, but she did because she's a writer.
Oh.
She almost lost her life because of it, but
Oh,
she
wow.
escaped just like that, and what she went through and how to rebuild her life with her and her kids. And where she's at now, she's a prolific romance writer. I don't even know
Hmm.
how many books she has. And then there was a gentleman who had PTSD before people gave it a name, and he almost lost his marriage because of it. And then there was another one with a birth trauma story, another one with a cancer story, another one with, they were going to be in the NBA and then their legs beneath the knees shattered while they were playing basketball because of some bone condition. Now they had to redo their life. So all different stories, very, very different from one another.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's so easy to say that because some outside circumstance happened, we something, the world owes us, or we can't do what we thought we were going to do. But you're right. If we take ownership of our lives and our choices, I think that we take a much more active role in how our
Yes,
story unfolds instead of that passive view of life just happening to you.
right. Exactly. Exactly. That's the whole point. It's you get to rewrite the story.
Hmm. That's awesome that you connected all of these stories together as well. Were these people that you knew, or just
Uh,
how did you
most
find
of
these
them,
stories?
most of them I knew. I asked a couple people to find, like, I stumbled on one online because I was writing, he was going to be publishing a book, and I wrote a story to go in his book. He ended up never publishing the book. But
Mm.
that's how I met him. I didn't really know him. And someone else, she's a lady, she used to work with Oprah, and I met her at one of the Tribe Writer conferences.
Oh,
And
wow.
someone else was another tribe writer. One of the stories is actually my daughter. One was
Mm.
another tribe writer. One was a friend of my husband. And so someone was someone I met at church. And so I was looking for who has a story that, you know, would draw people in, people could relate to, and would inspire them and give them the power to stand up, say, no, I have value and I'm going to fight to have a life that I have a right to thrive in life.
Right, right. That's amazing. And moving on, talking about the book that you wrote with your grandson, how did this come about?
This came about because my grandson wrote a bunch of pages of tacos. This is Gary the taco.
That's so cute.
And my grandson's name is Gideon. He wanted to name him Gary, so his name is Gary. But my grandson wrote, he drew a whole bunch of tacos, pages and pages of tacos. They were singing and dancing and working on cars, and they were from different countries, and they were just having the time of their life. But then on one page, there was one burrito, and that burrito was upset. And
Oh.
I'm like, Gideon, what's wrong with the burrito? He said he's upset because he's not a taco.
Mm.
My heart fell because I was well aware of the statistic that he did not know about, that the second leading cause of death in children aged 10 to 14 is suicide. How many kids that age, they feel like I'm not the taco. I'm not the popular one. I'm not the cute one. I'm not the cheerleader. I'm not the math Olympia. I'm not the great artist. I'm not the whatever fill in the blank that they measure themselves by. And then they feel like they're second rate. They're not as good as a taco. Everybody loves tacos. I'm just a burrito. And I'm like, Gideon, we have to do something with this. And so we
Mm-hmm.
brainstormed of what we could do. And his age, he was 12 at the time. He's 15 now. And we came up with all the characters in the book were created by my grandson, Gideon. This is Mr. Squibbles.
Oh my
Mr.
goodness.
Squibbles is a burrito cat. He's a cat
Very
that's a
nice.
burrito. And see, Mr. Squibbles was like that burrito on his paper. He thought he didn't have any value because he wasn't a taco. But then he met
Hmm.
Gary. He met Gary, and Gary said, "You have value. Everyone, you're a burrito, and you're not just a burrito, you're a burrito cat. How cool is that?" And so they became friends, and now they travel the galaxy, making friends with others and infusing value into them. And the book is Talk About Your Value, Fun to Feed Your Self-Esteem. And it's over 100 different fun things to do, mazes, stories, puzzles, coloring pages, and more of way. And he created a kind of font also in
Oh
there,
wow.
but there's
That's
Mad Libs
awesome.
and all kinds of things in here, word searches and stuff like that. And it's designed for a kid to do it with somebody. So
Hmm.
they will talk about what they're working on. And it's analog. So it's not on the screen on purpose. So it's tactile. So when you use it with your hands, it gets into you more than using a screen. When you use analog, it's more useful, and even coloring. Art is powerful. And this book can save lives by changing how a child thinks about themselves. They can learn I have inherent value. I have value just because God made me, just because I exist. And it doesn't matter if I'm, the tallest, the shortest, the fastest, the skinniest, whatever it is. I have value in and of myself. And so when a bully can come along and pick on them, they will be less likely to fall for the bully.
Hmm.
Unlike me, I had bullies in my growing up. And when I was in counseling writing that first book, my counselor asked me about this one particular bully. She asked me, "Why did you believe her?" And I had to think about it. And the answer was, I already believed what she said before she said it.
Hmm.
So when a kid can have their inner confidence and voice be contrary to the bully say, "Oh, you're so stupid." I am not stupid. They can come back with that because their inside is stronger, and they are less likely to fall prey to a bully. I mean, it's not a miracle book. I'm not prescribing it or anything like that, but art can save lives. I mean, I did writing and drawing and writing songs in my healing journey, and I believe it was very cathartic. Art is very cathartic. I even have a little playbook I created because I'm not an art therapist, but it's like fun with art therapy, because people tend to think that art is just drawing, but art is not just drawing. Art is also singing and dancing and pottery and making music and cooking and so many other things. And so I created this little playbook. It's free at my website for people to explore. What kind of art might you think is cool that might help
Hmm.
you in your heart? So just for fun. It's just for fun.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. How has the taco book been received? Has your son been or grandson been able to share that with his friends?
He did. He took it to school, and they thought it was really cool. And a number of nonprofits have bought it in bulk to give to different
Wow,
charities and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really great.
that's awesome. Do you see any other collaborations between you and your grandson in the future?
I don't know. He's 15 now, and he just got his permit, so I think he's a bit
Mm.
preoccupied with that place in his life right now. So we will see. I'm always open to the possibility. I'm
Yeah.
delighted that I am teaching my one of my granddaughters piano at this time, which is another form of art. I have a piano that used to be my mother's, and when I lived in Arizona, I it started buzzing instead of making the noise. And so I looked into getting it tuned, but the tuners, they wouldn't come tune it. They said it was too old and it wouldn't be worth it. But then
Hmm.
I found a special kind of piano tuner, which is I forgot what it stands for, but I told the story in my new book that's coming out this year, Hungry for More, about this piano, because the type of piano tuner he saw the value in my piano. He came out and he saw the value in my piano. It's an old spinet that my mother bought, when she was a teenager. That's how old it is.
Hmm.
And the problem with it was it needed a new pin block. The pin block is the block that's in the back of the piano that holds all the strings. And so the
Hmm.
pins would be coming out. And I needed a new pin block, but the pin block would cost more than the value of my piano. And so
Oh
I
my
was like
goodness.
really hurt. What am I going to do? And this man, he loved pianos and he cared about how I felt and he cared about this specific piano. And he came up with a way to repair my pin block. And he did it at an affordable rate because he knew that it would matter. It would matter to
Hmm.
me. And because he did that, I'm able to teach my granddaughter Esther how to play piano.
Oh, I love that. There's so much creativity in that. I love how your mom was able to um, have the ingenuity and think so far into the future to buy a piano when she was a teenager. That's amazing.
She played
Um,
piano. And she had to work to do it herself because she was a teenager not too long after the Great Depression, and she had a
mm,
stepdad that did not care for her. She had to care for herself. And so she bought it herself. It was a big deal for her to do that herself. And
mm.
so it was in my house all growing up. And when she passed, it's gone everywhere with me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and that makes it even more special that you're able to continue playing it and that someone
Hmm.
was able to fix it.
Yeah.
Um, and you can share that with your granddaughter. Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So you said that's in your upcoming book. Can you tell us what to expect from this book and also when it's going to be released this year?
Target release date is September 2nd.
Oh.
The title is Hungry for More: The Longing, the Counterfeits, and What We're Really Looking For. The
Hmm.
central theme of the book is about connection. Our need for connection, our hunger for connection, how we are wired for connection, and how we don't always feed that hunger for connection in a healthy way. And so when we do that, we end up with a reality that we don't want to be in. But then what do we
Hmm.
do about that? And how disconnection is such a problem in our world. We're disconnected from one another, from ourselves, from God, from society, from reality, all that. And so the book is written in 5 movements. It takes you through the ache of the hunger, through the design of the hunger, through the reality of when we feed it ways that um, take us places we don't want to be, and then the repair of how to get to where we want to go, how to restore proper nourishment and reconnection and all those things. And then it goes into something called the with life, WITH. I call it withness, and that's presence, that's being with someone. And that's not just being in the same room. That's the connection of being with one another, a oneness, a unity. And that's the core part of the book is to restore that nourishment in our souls that we were designed for from the very beginning.
Hmm. That's awesome. What would you say is the biggest struggle with why we're not having that connection, why we're looking for that connection?
I think we can't see straight. We don't
Hmm.
understand our design. I think that so many people are dealing with trauma and don't know it. I mean, the song has been around for a long time, looking for love in all the wrong places. It's not a new thought process. So that's
Hmm.
something that I think has happened from the beginning because we don't know how to feed it. If we haven't
Hmm.
been raised in a way to have healthy relationships, we don't know how. We have to
Right.
learn how. And if we don't know how to do something, we're not going to do it. Like there's one gentleman, I bring up the story of this guy named Brian in the book because his story breaks my heart. He's in, I found his story on psychology.com through a Dr. Britton. He wrote an article about him and how Brian is in jail for murder. People hired him to murder people. And when I read about Brian, I wept because Brian became what he became because of how he grew up. The disconnection that he grew up in, the lack of nourishment for his soul that he grew up in. And I quote him in my book, something from this article that he said, "I didn't know I was a person until someone paid me to be one."
Wow.
I just think that I want to cry thinking about that. To not know you're a person until someone paid you to be, that's a whole lot of disconnection from yourself. For someone to have to, we feed, when people are physically starving, they will eat garbage. People dumpster dive. I've been to Guatemala 4 times on a mission trip, and they took us to a place where people have houses on the garbage dump. People live on the garbage dump. It's horrific that people live in these kind of conditions. But when someone is starving, they will eat anything. And the same thing is true when we are emotionally starving. We will eat anything that will feel like it will take care of that emotional starvation. And we're doing it because our hunger has gone mad.
Wow. Yeah, that's really deep. And I think that that's so true. And so many people need this book, I think. And it'll be such, I think it'll be such a well-received read that we don't even know like you said, we don't even know we're missing something until we're told that we're missing something.
Oh, we have that hunger. We feel it. We feel it, and then we do stuff with it. And that's why people do impulse shopping. It's why people do binge eating. It's why people do gambling. It's Dr. Gabor Mate, a leader in the area of trauma. He said, you don't ask why the addiction, you ask why the pain. Because addiction is a normal response to trauma. And people don't think that. In my book, there is like no shame in there at all. I am so anti-shame. Shame shows up and it wants to eat us alive, but it does not have the right to be there because we need to heal and get what we were designed for. We were designed to be loved, to be seen, to be heard, to be accepted, to belong.
It's beautiful. And I'm so excited for this to come out. You said September 2nd is when we're looking for this book.
Yes.
Awesome. So thinking back of all your creative pursuits, all of your writing, your music, playing piano with your granddaughter, what do you think your legacy will be, or what do you hope your legacy will be?
Oh, that's easy. I want my legacy to be love. Love. I have taken ownership of the tagline, that lady on the internet who loves you. I have it IP protected. I became that lady on the internet who loves you in 2020, and I fully own it. And I tell people that I love them. I let them know. They're like, you don't even know me. I don't need to know you. You are worthy of love. I love you. You have the right to be loved. You were created to be loved. And when I was raising my children, which was terrifying to me because I wasn't going to have kids because of my history, that I didn't want to mess them up. And I knew I was not emotionally stable myself. So I was really afraid to have kids, but God had a different plan. And then he gave me what I needed to walk it out. It wasn't perfect, but he gave me the core things I needed. He gave me grace. He got grace as part of my journey in a way where I didn't even understand, but it was still activated in a way. But then I had one primary goal with my children. One. I'm like, if I can do one thing right, if I could do one thing right, my children will grow up knowing that they are loved. Because I grew up feeling unloved and worthless. And so I never wanted anyone to grow up that way, and I don't want anyone to ever feel that way. So that is my legacy, for people to feel and know that they are loved. That's why my Love's Manifesto book is my manifesto.
Mm. That's perfect. And to see how you're using your trauma and your experience to just bring such hope and light into the world, I commend you, and I think that's beautiful. And I would love for you to give us just a final say to the listeners. You've already given us so many beautiful truths and little nuggets to take with us. But I'd love for you to just share some encouragement or any advice you have for the listeners. And then I'll put it in the show notes. But one more time, tell us how we can connect with you.
Well, everything is available at my website. It's a very central located thing. My social medias you can find there. I have free resources. I have another page with resources, my YouTube channel, my speaking, my coaching. I do one-on-one coaching and one-on-two coaching. So if like people they're having a relationship problem, I coach like two people, one-on-two coaching that I can do that. And it's at DanielleBernock.com, DanielleBernock.com. And all the things are there. My books are there, and my email, my address, my phone number, everything's there. So
awesome. Perfect. Great. All right. Well, any final words before we head out?
Oh, you who are listening, I want to tell you again, I love you. You matter. You have value. And if you hesitate to believe that, I want to dare you to believe it. Dare to believe it. Go to my website and get Love's Manifesto free, or anything else there you want for free. Listen to all my stuff for free. And then if you want to work with me, I would love to help you. I love you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Danielle, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.